Demand Flexibility Exchange. I am Rafael Hertzberg, an independent energy consultant. Why was the Demand Flexibility Exchange created? A real case ignited me. I was consulting coincidentally for two right next door neighbors, a shopping mall and an industrial plant at the same time. What did they need? The shopping wanted to increase by 500 kilowatt its contracted demand because of a new building that was going to be inaugurated. And the industrial plant was interested in decreasing by 500 kilowatt its contracted demand because they were moving a production line to Mexico. What did the utility company say? 1 year to make 500 kilowatt available for the shopping mall, and 1 year to decrease the contracted demand by the industrial plant because of the ongoing ratchet and contracted demand arrangements. How did they react? The shopping mall had to rent a genset and buy diesel to make sure that this new building was inaugurated accordingly. And the industrial plant had to pay the idle demand for a whole year. And the associated cost per year was $120,000 for the shopping mall to rent this genset and buy diesel. And the industrial plant had to pay $60,000 for the idle demand throughout the year. If the demand flexibility exchange were there already, the shopping mall would increase instantly the contracted demand, and the industrial plant accordingly would decrease the same amount of demand. No need for a genset and no need for diesel. No idle demand payments by the industrial plant. And for the utility company, the total contracted demand would remain the same because the industrial plant would be decreased by 500 kilowatts and wouldn't have to pay idle demands, and the shopping mall would pay the $60,000 because of the additional 500 kilowatts. And from the utilities perspective, this is what would happen. Both clients would instantly change their demands, but the very interesting point here is that the utility company would end up selling instantly more kilowatt hour energy because the idle demand that was contracted by the industrial plant would now be changed to a shopping mall that would use it. And that meant 500 kilowatts times 300 hours per month per 12 months per year. And roughly speaking, paying $50 per megawatt hour, it would come up to $90,000 per year of additional revenue. A super win-win. The utility company would see an increase in kilowatt hour sales of $90,000, and the revenues regarding demand would be kept unchanged. The plant would reduce its costs by $60,000 per year, and the shopping mall would have avoided $30,000 of additional costs because it would buy energy from the local utility and would not need to rent the diesel genset and pay for the diesel. Where's the underlying magic? It's very simple. The same supply chain will meet more load. The power supply chain capital expenditure is about roughly $3 billion per installed gigawatt in terms of generation, transmission, and distribution. And the same capital expenditure will generate more billings. The business model is also pretty simple. An internet-based platform will be made available by the local utility company to its clients so that they can post their needed kilowatt contractual changes. they will exchange their demand differences, and the utility will send to the involved parties the associated contract amendments. This is the proposed plan. Let's say that we will simulate 3 years, the 3 first years, and exchanging 100, 500, and 1000 megawatts per year. And the avoided postponed capital expenditure is calculated using $1 million per megawatt. The revenues in this case would be the amortization cost of this capital expenditure that would be avoided in $1 million. And then here comes the next item, the marketing of this concept before potential clients of that specific local utility company. And then the fixed cost associated with my consulting and the success fee that I propose. And then the demand flexibility exchange platform investment and the back office costs also in $1 million per year. So this is the result in $1 million per year, considering this overall picture. This is the graph that shows what happens throughout these 3 years. The competitive landscape. Actually, we are competing with the comfort zone, which is sticking to the ongoing costlier format. We know that utility companies are very conservative and perhaps they love the comfort zone. When kilowatts are exchanged, however, the same infrastructure will meet the same total contracted load, but increasing the financial economic performance of the local utility and its clients. I will team up with companies very well exposed before local electric utility companies using Bright's relationships. We will offer this concept to these utilities. Accordingly, we will learn how these utilities would like to have the demand flexibility exchange in their systems. We will guide them all the way, whether they would like to have an integrated demand flexibility exchange in their systems or outsourced as a service. The demand flexibility exchange concept is ready. It needs to be implemented as a pilot. Then it's about replicating the concept. Revenues, pilots when they are happening, and then when they are replicated. The platform will be outsourced and should be invested on demand. On the advisory board is Adalberto Perez Lopes, and he's a very successful guy here in Brazil and a country manager for Crowdhammer, and he's a partner as well. A bit of myself. I am Rafael Hertzberg, an electrical engineer by background. I am an independent energy consultant since 19, self-employed, and for more than 20 years I have been Interact's CEO and co-founder, and Interact was basically focusing on energy consulting, and before that I was the CEO of LTech from 87 to 92, where I started my career in 1977, and LTech was a leading company in the electric power connectors business up to 800 kilowatt, and in 91 I led the company to joint venture with Alcoa, its cable division here in Brazil. I was awarded in the US at PowerGen and in Brazil at Fiesp. It's the Industrial Federation of the state of São Paulo. I was very heavily involved for more than 35 years with energy efficiency, generation, cogeneration, high voltage structured projects. and also was very active in the deregulated power markets. And I locked more than $1 billion equivalent in power deals in the regulated and deregulated markets. And right now, I am a top three influencer at Energy Central. And I also was involved several times with mediation, arbitration, always related to power contracts between power traders and their clients.